Bold prediction time. Which things do you believe about this year that you would bet your own money on? Well, we got one in the SEC. Speak of the Devils here. What about Alabama? Are they going to make the playoff? What seed will they be? Well, Dog Pound up in Austin, Georgia says, forget about that. Bama just misses the college football playoff. Fortunately, our friends at FanDuel already have odds on this. Bama, if you bet them to make the playoff, plus 24. If you bet them to miss the playoff, minus 152. So, 9-3. Would that get them in? Their over-under win total is 9.5. It's juiced to the under. So basically, odds makers are telling you 9-3 is kind of how they feel Bama this year. Would 9-3 be good enough to get them in? Are they a hot team late? They play on the road at LSU, at Oklahoma, and Auburn in 3 of their last 4 games. If they go 3-0 there, they're hot at the end of the year, and it's a hot 9-3. Is that good enough to get in? Is 9-3 in the SEC by one of their premier teams alone good enough to get in? I think this is an 8. They've got not the easiest schedule in the world. They do play Georgia in the regular season. I think this is an 8 on the boldness scale, only because there's a lot of unknown. Even with a 12-team field, you predict them to not go to the playoff, not get one of those 12 spots. That in some other years would be a 10 on the boldness scale. I made it an 8, maybe an 8.25, but I'm bumping it down to an 8. Bama, not in the playoff. Interesting. Next up, this was a very interesting one as well. Damian from Ravenswood, West Virginia. A new college football playoff champion will be crowned this year, a first-time team in the playoff era. So only 6 teams have won the thing in the playoff era. Ohio State won the first one. Bama's won a few. Clemson's won a couple. LSU, Georgia's won a couple, and Michigan just won one. So those teams are out. So we got to have anyone other than them win the national championship this year. This is an 8.25 for me. Because on one hand, 3 of the top 5 odds teams at FanDuel would be repeat champs. That's one way to look at it. But the other way to look at it is out of the top 10, number 3, Texas, they've never won it. Oregon's number 4, they've never won it. Number 6, Ole Miss. Number 8, Penn State. Number 9, Notre Dame. They've never won it. So I've got 5 of the top 10. They're in play. FSU at 11. They've never won it. Tennessee at 12. Missouri at 13. A&M 15. Miami 16. None of them have ever won it. Now, this is one of those classic, do I take a couple of teams or the field? It depends on how dominant you think Georgia could be or Ohio State could be. Do you think Bama's not going to fall off? Do you believe in LSU or something like that? How powerful do you believe those top teams are? The fact that Texas would qualify this prediction as a win and Oregon would qualify this prediction as a win, that's enough to bump the boldness down to just an 8.25. Next up, I don't know who knows something up in Ashtabula, Ohio, but Super Saiyan from Ashtabula wrote us and said, Julian Saiyan will finish the season as Ohio State's starting quarterback. By the way, what kind of fever dream would this have been in January? That kid had early enrolled at Bama, and just a few months later, we've got folks predicting he's going to be the starting quarterback at Ohio State by the end of the year. And yeah, it all could happen. So Will Howard is the presumed starter. He's the transfer from Kansas State. He's got a ton more experience. Saiyan is literally a true freshman. Obviously, injury could happen, but we don't want to predict injury because that's gross. So let's just say, without the concept of injury being baked in here, let's just say the suggestion is Julian Saiyan flat out takes Will Howard's job by the end of the year. That is bold, but it's not impossible. The Oregon game is going to tell us a lot because Saiyan's good now. Julian Saiyan's plenty good enough to start for a lot of major teams out there. It just so happens Ohio State is blessed enough to have been able to go in the portal and get Will Howard. The Oregon game is going to tell us a lot. I am of the opinion that Ohio State should be able to brutalize people this year. Ohio State, I think, recruited the receiver position so effectively for so long. They had so many 5-star guys out wide. It kind of like it altered who they were. You got all those 5-star guys, man. You got to incorporate them. Well, the problem is Michigan looked and said, We'll just sledgehammer you. You know, we got some good talent out there, but we don't have to do that. Ohio State should be able to play the way Michigan's played for the last several years if they have it in them and if they want to. Will Howard's the kind of quarterback you would play that way with, but if they go to Oregon and they try that and fail, or they're not even trying to do that and they fail, then it could be a course correction. There could be a lot of internal questioning and searching. Or if they go out there and they're dominant and that style of play has taken hold and the defense is everything we thought it was, well, then you got no shot at this happening. Experience matters a whole lot. To insert a true freshman in over a healthy, veteran experienced quarterback, you got to have no doubt. You got to have virtually no doubt about that kid. And as good as I think Julian Sayin can be, it's hard for any true freshman to end up being that. But there are people not inside, I'm not saying inside the program at Ohio State, inside the fan base, there are people who believe this will happen. I think it's a 9 on the boldness scale. Not impossible, but it's a solid 9. Lastly, probably one of the most fun predictions we've had so far, and it comes to us from Uncle Rico's van in Bozeman, Montana, so you know it's legit. 2 teams whose mascot is the tiger will make the playoff. I got you covered here. Missouri, 13th best odds to win the whole thing. Clemson, 14th best odds. LSU, 7th best odds. Auburn, 23rd best odds. And Memphis has the best odds to win the AAC. Now remember, G5 is going to get themselves a team in. So the way I see it, Memphis has got the best odds. Let's say they win. They say they win that conference and they get the G5 bid. I need one of you guys to come through. Missouri's got a very decent shot. LSU, can you do it? Clemson, second odds team to win the ACC. Can you do it? Auburn is a stretch. I will grant you that. G5 plus just the aggregate of belief is the formula here. This is an 8.75 on the boldness scale. I respect it. I love the ingenuity. I love the creativity. It is bold, but it's not too bold. And so it had a place in the show tonight.